Well, almost Merry Christmas, Nigeria. This is Bekeme. You're listening to the Good Citizen Radio Show. The show is brought to you by CSR in Action, which is many things to many people. It's a non-profit, it's a consulting firm, it's a training outfit, and our focus is sustainability. We are funded by ACT, aka ACT Foundation, which is a grant-making organization established in 2016 to support local, national, and regional non-profits working in health, environment, entrepreneurship, and leadership to address the various challenges across the African continent. The Good Citizen Radio Show is focused on driving citizen leadership because, it's all about us and the things we can do. And, we're constantly talking about the things that we need to do to make Nigeria great again. And I want us to just hear more things that we can do, find strategies that we can harness to create a Nigeria of our dreams. And I hope you're listening today and learning more and more as we continue talking about volunteering. Today we're talking about volunteering as the humane face of business. So we're delving into business today. If you had seen the short clip we shared during the week, you would have seen that we highlighted that 70% of the working class believe that volunteering activities are more likely to boost employee morale. So, a large number as well said, if my company doesn't get involved in volunteering activities, I don't feel like they care as much as I would have liked them to care. So we're going to discuss corporate volunteering programs and, answer the questions of how and why these programs are important for employees, organizations, and the communities. So we're going to talk about the matter of innovation, the matter of relevance. We're going to talk about impact, really, within the communities that that the volunteers going to. You can catch our weekly show teasers on YouTube and social media via our handle at Good Citizen NG. Again, is at Good Citizen NG, GOODCITIZENNG. If you remember, in March 2019, for those of you who are interested in development news, there was a 37-year-old priest that was talked about, Peter Tabichi. He's a Catholic priest and a teacher from a rural village in Kenya who won a Vaki Foundation Global Teacher Prize. Why did he win this? Actually, he beat 10,000 other people to win this award. And the people came from 179 countries. But this guy donates 80% of an already meager salary towards supporting children from poorer families and for community projects. So this guy exemplifies the nature of being, a human being in all of the suffering that we go through. We talk about so many challenges ourselves. Oh, this day has been bad, but then you have, I don't know, maybe 50,000 at the end of the month in your account, and somebody has minus 50. They probably had to take a loan to survive the past 6 months, and the debtors are at their door trying to collect or whatever, and you're hiding and not opening your window. So this guy does this. He makes donations, and the school near him, or the schools, now boast new classrooms, clean water, high-speed internet, and the modern computer lab. I imagine what he would use that money that he got from the Vaki Foundation to do. So beyond individual participation in volunteer programs, organizations globally are beginning to understand the impact of volunteering, both on the organization and on the community. And, they've found ways of making this a part of their corporate philanthropy or corporate citizenship strategies. Corporate volunteering, we would say, are defined as work-based initiatives where employers provide some form of support or encouragement to their staff to work within the communities that they operate in. They're usually considered part of their CSR, as Nigerians, like to say now. It's very popular. It's our CSR. According to research, it promotes enhanced team bonding, and it's an established fact that the integration of volunteerism across a business that is in a meaningful way has positive impacts for the employee, the community, and the company. And we have in the house a very special guest who does this for a living. Her name is Temitayo Ade-Peters. Welcome, Temitayo.
Thank you.
Hi, Temitayo.
Hello, hello, everyone.
I'm sure you all are clapping at home. She's a sustainable development consultant and eco segment leader, and she's currently the CEO of WeForGood International, an expression of Carrie's Cares Foundation, which is a non-profit she founded to champion the emergence of a new crop of African leaders who are committed to Africa's sustainable development. The WeForGood community brings people together to act on causes they care about, employing technology as an enabler for effective citizenship, collaboration, and participation in the fulfillment of the SDGs and for the overall well-being of communities. Again, please welcome Temitayo.
Thank you.
Temitayo, I've known you for a while now.
Yes.
I don't know how many years now, but I met Temitayo within the corporate space.
Yes.
So she was an employer those days. Now she's out. She's joined us. She's on the other side. And it'll be interesting to know how you've been working on WeForGood and working with corporate organizations to drive, shall I say individual corporate social responsibility, because you can't actually compel employees to do these things. You can't, but you can only encourage them, and which is why we're having this conversation really today. Is we're trying to see how best businesses can utilize corporate volunteering programs, not just for themselves, not just to look good, but to help employees and communities grow. So before we continue this conversation, I would like to remind us of the numbers that we would call. It's 0700 923 923 93. Again, it's 0700 923 93. And you can send us messages at Good Citizen NG, on any platform, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Send us messages to make any contributions if you find it hard to call. Okay, so Temitayo, we're talking about this. I mean, what are your thoughts? In Nigeria, what is the situation when it comes to employee volunteering?
Thank you so much for this opportunity to be here. I'm so happy to be with you this evening. So when it comes to employee volunteering, just like CSR, like you said, people will just say it's our CSR, so just like corporate social responsibility itself, we realize that a lot of organizations are actually catching up, when it comes to CSR. They are beginning to see the advantages of taking initiative and carrying out projects, as it were, that benefit the society. And then again, with the launch of the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, in 2015, and then the purpose around it, which is to leave no one behind.
Yeah.
So, and then a lot more organization. And then again, the SDGs, with the launch of the SDGs, the United Nations and all other organizations involved also realized that there is the need for corporate power, to come on board and to take action on this thing. So just like that too, so it's an extension. So corporate volunteering itself is an extension of how corporate social responsibility is catching on in the Nigerian environment. And then again, one very important factor again that I think is driving this is the fact that millennials are not like the people of the past.
Tell me something new.
So
you guys keep on listening to the show. I'm not bad-mouthing you, but tell me something new.
Yes, So you have millennials wanting to be a part of something bigger. They are not just driven by money.
Right.
They want to see, what are you doing for the environment? What are you doing for the society? So they want to see how, and then they also want to get involved. You know, so because if you're just telling me that you're doing this, and I'm not involved in it, then I can't. So it's beyond just so the same way.
They want to say.
Yes, they want to have a say in it. They want to get involved. They want to play their part in it, so that they can say, oh, this is what I'm also doing, because that feeling, especially maybe again, because there's a lot of issues going on around the world right now, not like there weren't issues before, but with the advent of social media, so news get passed on much more quickly and faster. So there's an overwhelming how will I call it? Like an overwhelming presence of issues around us. And, so it's very uncomfortable for millennials to just feel like they're sitting down and they're not doing anything about what is happening around them.
Right.
Because it's happening and you're hearing and you're seeing it. And then again, because you can see what other people are doing across the world. So there's Greta, for example, the 16-year-old who is championing climate change. There is Malala, who has done as when she was just 14.
Right.
So you're looking at that and you're like, what am I doing with my own life? And all of that. And so again, for a lot of people, fine, I know that there's still the middle class, tendency around it, but for a lot of young people as well, I would say that some of their parents have gone beyond the poverty level,
right?
When they were raised. So that mindset of being raised in that way, that sense of, just looking to survive is a bit reduced when it comes to them. So they've moved beyond just survival. They're also then looking for, okay, so what can I do? How can I, self-actualization. What can I do? How can I add value?
And they're global citizens.
Yes.
They're thinking beyond their immediate.
beyond their immediate environment. They have friends all over the world. Absolutely. They can see what people are doing. So if any organization is going, and then, when you talk about millennials, it's not just about talking about millennials because you want millennials in your organization. It's also talking about your succession planning.
Right.
If you don't have young people within your organization, then you're not thinking about who's going to take over your organization when you're not here. So that's also a factor that is driving this, that people need to look at. Like, okay, so how can I engage more people to get involved? I've carried out a number of employee volunteering initiative for organizations, and I've seen that, the employees are actually happy to be a part of it. I think it's just about how you position it and how do you bring it out to people so that they can see themselves in it and then get involved. And it doesn't just look like you're doing it for yourself and you're using me to achieve what you want to achieve.
Yes, because obviously, so these millennials that you're talking about, it's quite a complex group of people. They're easy to deal with and they're complex as well. Because, you might be wanting to do these things, and we agreed that organizations, for it to be as neat as possible, would have to make this a part of their corporate, social responsibility planning and all of that. Okay, so wouldn't that employee then think, how do you manage that in such a way that the employee doesn't think they're using me again? So they're paying me, I'm doing what they want me to do, but then they're also using me some more. They're using me in my spare time. Because employee volunteering is free of charge. Nobody gets forced to do it. You're encouraged to do it, but then it's your time. You choose to do it. And obviously you look good to your boss if you do it.
Yeah.
So that's one. So, how do you manage that? Then the second thing is, from the demography that you also describe, who are the majority in firms now, at least, or, a good amount in firms now, they also want recognition. They want individual recognition.
Yeah.
Right? And these initiatives are broad-based. They're broad-based initiatives. There's hardly opportunity to, find a champion to reward or recognize in some way. But I'm sure that there are ways that this can be done. So how do businesses manage that? So before you answer that question, though, we would have to go on a short break. And then we come back. So that's Expo. We're giving you time to think it through and to answer this question. We'll be right back on the Good Citizen Radio Show.
The Aspire Coronation Trust, ACT Foundation, is a non-profit organization established to help local, national, and regional non-profit organizations working to address the challenges and associated vulnerabilities across Africa. Our interventions are focused on 4 key areas, which are health, entrepreneurship, environment, and leadership. At ACT Foundation, we believe that together we can make a difference. So, let's come together to make the positive social impact we desire in our world.
Welcome back to the Good Citizen Radio Show. You've been listening to me, Bekeme, and our guest, Temitayo of WeForGood, discussing the humane face of volunteering in business. And before we went off, we were talking about how millennials and, the younger people in the workplace want to be a part of employee volunteering programs, but, they're also individualistic in nature, by nature, and want recognition they also don't want to be seen to feel like they're being used. Okay, and we agree that the corporate volunteering initiative would be part of the bigger business goal. So how do businesses manage that entire thing? And then to remind us of our numbers to call, 0700 93 93 93. Again, it's 0700 93 93 93. And you can send us a WhatsApp message at 0906 263 4111. That's 3 ones. 0906 263 4111. You have the floor, Temitayo.
Okay. So I'll start with the second one, which has to do with recognition. So there are many ways to do that. Organizations can come up with awards, and that's what a number of organizations do right now. So you have employee volunteering awards, which may be a part of your overall award system if you have anything like that. But otherwise, you have an independent employee volunteering award, where you come up with, so points. There are points for the thing. So it also means that you should have had a very good opportunity to document whatever employees were doing during the course of the year, so that you can so everybody knows. And I think, again, it's about transparency.
Right.
Everybody should know from the beginning, what am I getting from what I'm doing?
Absolutely.
Because just because it's employee volunteering and it's all of that doesn't mean that people cannot get
accountability or anything like that.
Yes. And that people can get incentivized doing it.
Absolutely.
So there could be employee volunteer. You can have that award, and even if it's done in groups, because what some people do is also do it in teams. So, but everyone has, so you have the award for the team, but each person that is part of the team also gets their own individual certificates or whatever, or their individual letter, from the CEO that says, oh, thank you so much for giving of your time for this time and all of that. And so that person takes that with him wherever he's going to, because they still want to be a part of a team, because that's also part of the benefit of the initiative itself for organizations. You build solid bonds within your teams, such that it also helps them with retention. Because when you're part of something, even when some opportunities that are not as maybe overwhelmingly great come up, then I won't want to lose this for what I have here, what I have going on here with my team and all of that is something I want to do, especially if it's something they do annually and then they are looking forward to what next they want to do, the next year. So that's a solid way of incentivizing and making sure that they have that sense of recognition. And there are also there are little things you can do, some special things you can do, so the volunteer of the year goes as a timeout with the CEO. Many things you can do, and people just want what they can post on LinkedIn and say, see me.
So that's the thing. So that brings us back to that matter of instant gratification, though, right?
Yes.
You want to post something on LinkedIn. Yes. I don't know whether that's a good or bad thing, but hey, I mean, if you get people to be a part of it, I always say sometimes you don't really need to focus on why, if it's bringing about the change that you want.
Yes.
Just grab it and be happy that it's happening at that point in time. It's working for the bigger
because so it's just the way we grew up. Even so, you have schools, they say, oh, there's going to be first position, second position, third position, and that's why you're reading, because you want that position. You want to be the one they call up and say you've won that award. So now, to the issue of them not feeling used,
like
they're being used. What a lot of organizations do, and what we advise, is that you allow employees to, so you give the time, you give that time so they can actually take off time during work hours to go and do, because that's also how you show your own commitment as well. So if I'm supposed to be
during your spare time.
No, it can't be during my spare time. No.
After working hours.
No. If it's going to be during my spare time, then it has to be my own personal initiative that I want to do, but it should be during the work.
Absolutely.
At times it's a whole day, at times it's 2 days in a month. They're like in the year, like you have 2 days for your employee volunteer, you have 3 days. And employers can actually account for that, even financially.
What if I choose to now do more than the recommended time within my organization? How can businesses now manage that? If I now use that to disappear from work. So they say, you can help motherless baby homes and motherless babies homes. And then I now start saying, since that's my passion, but I'm in this job that I'm not really crazy about anyways, and now this is part of our employee volunteering program. Do you think that there are instances where employees might abuse that access?
Yes, definitely. But that's where setting the tone from the beginning comes in. You've already said the rules. This is the number of days everyone has. So if you want to take more than that, then
put a cap on it.
Yes, there has to be a cap on it. Maybe just a day, 1 hour, whatever it is that you can manage. You put a cap on that and say this is the much we can give, for you to go and do this. And it's also a case of us, like, we're doing this together. So that's why you also then need the top guys, the executives and all of that to also get involved.
Yes.
Because that's the way the employees then feel it's something that we're all doing together as an organization. We're all in this together. And at the end of the day, all of us are going to achieve it together. So it shouldn't just be the employees should go and do it. We were waiting. Come back. So you should be championing it, like we're all in it together. You have your executive director is involved. If it's division, some people do it by divisions,
right?
Some people do it by teams, depending on how some people do it by groups.
And there's
just
some
select
people
yourselves.
that I know who, as a result, so they do it some banks do branches.
Yes.
And what they've done is the branches then are sort of competing with themselves.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the year, they are rewarding them. So we've had instances where they've said to us, help us assess what our branches have done and help us to choose the top people so that they can be recognized.
Yeah.
And I think that's, some sort of strong encouragement as well to the people that you work with. So we see what you're doing and we appreciate what you're doing. And I loved your instances of CEO recognition. I was watching, he's a popular American pastor, and what he does is he goes around and gives this, it's nothing great. I think it's a card or, this. Sorry?
Is it Joel?
Not Joel Osteen.
Okay.
He's part of this. He's part of this. The organization. I think they do GLS. The man who runs the GLS business initiative.
Okay.
And he goes around and he just gives them some sort of smiley or whatever, just to show that he sees what they're doing. And it's a serious morale booster for the staff who get recognized.
Yes.
So we had been having this conversation prior, and I was saying, do you then think that because people, and we're having this discussion around giving back and volunteering and everything, because it's Christmas season. I mean, this is that time of year where you sit back and you thank God that you have gone through the year. You've come to the end of it in one piece. Yeah. Whatever may have happened, you overcame and you're at this point and you're thankful. So I the assumption is that a lot more people are giving of their time, of themselves at this time of year.
Yeah.
So speaking of giving back of oneself, if we take the onus away from the employers, because as a corporate running a volunteering program, it means that you're trying to impact on your community in some way.
Yeah.
Apart from giving your employees the opportunity to acquire skills and to learn, to be more empathetic and everything, you're obviously impacting a wider community.
Yes.
Should employers too then look at volunteering in the person's CV when employing? Do you think it's a great idea? And because last week we talked about the fact that people are always saying, oh, I never really had the opportunity to get 2 years of experience, 3 years of experience, and they want me to have had it even though I just graduated school. And I said there was plenty of opportunity to volunteer usually, or intern or whatever, but people don't take them up. So do you think that perhaps employees can look at this as something that they would use for assessing employability?
Yes, I totally agree with that, because in fact that's part of why we also, when we were setting up WeForGood, that was one of the secondary value that we believe that the platform provides. It provides an opportunity for young people to acquire skills and gain relevant experiences. And in fact, at WeForGood, we run 3 months volunteering program where we bring in young graduates for 3 months and on a rolling basis. So we just bring them for 3 months. You go through the training, so it's volunteering, you're there for 3 months, you're out.
The training is what? So you get opportunities to volunteer in one place or in several places?
To work with us directly, to volunteer with WeForGood. Yes.
Okay.
So you work with us
on your different initiatives.
Yes, on different initiatives, on the projects that we have and all of that. And so you can, and then you're going, we give you that letter to say you've done well here. So that's also part of what you take ahead.
Just a quick question. Do they get anything? Because, another thing is, white people say we don't volunteer when they don't have actual jobs is country is hard. Transportation is, it takes out a huge chunk of a person's salary. Yeah. Do they get a stipend, or are these people who come from comfortable homes who can make do without getting transportation?
They get a stipend for their transportation. Okay. Because what I've also realized is that this, we could sit back and just say, oh, okay, because country is hard, we want to avoid that and all of that. But so what we do is then we give them that stipend for transportation. Okay. But we also believe that it's important that young people get out, to get these skills and all of that, to acquire the skills, because there'll always be somebody there who's taking that step, that you're not taking, and the person can actually maximize it.
So we have one call and then we'll end this. Hello? Good evening. Thanks for calling the Good Citizen Radio Show. What's your name, please? Okay, so we lost that call. Lost that caller. So I guess that that would be that for the show. So Temitayo, you were rounding up and talking about young people,
yes,
and how you give them stipends in order that they at least they can come and give of their time. And from what I've heard on the show, crucial to employee volunteering is planning.
Yes.
Crucial to employee volunteering is innovation,
yes,
really, and recognition. Yes. Whether it's a CEO just giving off their time, just showing a handshake,
yes,
a certificate, yes, which means that you would have measured the process from the get-go.
Yes.
And we talked about, and that planning included agreeing how many days in a week or in a year, whatever, in order that it's not,
and even agreeing what areas we want to go into, because otherwise people can come in with their own passion.
Absolutely.
So we need to know how to fit it into the corporate agenda.
Absolutely.
And strategy of the organization.
Absolutely. And that also can be managed through proper communication.
Yes.
That's a challenge usually. People don't know what they ought to do. People are not clear, and it needs to be reiterated throughout the process. Did we miss something? And finally, we talked about transparency. Don't say it's one thing and then bring something else halfway through.
At the end of the day, yes.
You have to be accountable,
yes,
both sides, both sides, the company and the volunteers. All right, so thank you so much for coming on the show, Temitayo. It's been lovely having you. It's a very interesting, cerebral conversation. We don't always have this, so I'm honored to have you on the show. Thank you so much. Thank you all for listening to the Good Citizen Radio Show. It's a final show just before Christmas, and I'm excited for us to be going on the Christmas break. But I want to leave you with the words of Martin Luther King, where he says the persistent and most urgent question that we should ask ourselves is, what are you doing for others? So keep on the conversation at Good Citizen NG on all our social media channels. You've been listening to the Good Citizen Radio Show and to Bekeme. You have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful Friday, and talk to you next week. Bye-bye.